Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I was serious about that engage, that second engage today. Engaged. Engaged. I know you can't see the look on my face until I turn the camera on, but... Oh my gosh, how we doing out there, ladies and gentlemen? Hello, and welcome on a Tuesday here to Operation Status Quo. I hope you're doing well out there and enjoying your life, whatever the hell's going on. Hold on here, my wire with my headphones was a little coming out there, and I was losing the sound in my left ear, but it has returned. Okay, so we're doing good. Yeah, it's we got some crazy little storm coming through here. I guess it's going across the whole East Coast, really, but really windy out right now, and I enjoy a little variety once in a while in the weather. So it's kind of fun. It's not cold. It's really actually kind of warm today. It feels a little muggy, and but we got these these kicking winds going on, and supposedly within the next couple hours, have some gusts up to 60 or so miles an hour as this front kind of comes through. So if all of a sudden the ceiling collapses on me and I disappear, ladies and gentlemen, and you don't know what's going on. I know, it's so freaking scary. I'm scared myself. No, don't open that door. Oh, no, wait a minute. I just fixed everything in there, for God's sake. All right. Excuse me. We're a little silly, and we have fun here on Operation Status Quo because that's all what it's all about. This world is crazy, maniacal, trying to keep people down and upset and sad all the time, and that is not how we operate here on Operation Status Quo. It's all about being happy, spreading joy, expressing ideas, looking at things in different perspectives, and realizing how much power we have as individuals to create the life that we want to create, and we are not slaves to this system that is trying so hard to keep us suppressed and unaware of our true power and essence, ladies and gentlemen. So today, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, hello. Let me give you a little, look at you guys. Look at you. So cute. Anyway, I am Pete Palma. This is Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen, the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. And I've been saying recently, and I would love for you to drop in the comments, what is it that you're doing today to create your own flow of quo? When you look out at the world around you, and it seems like things are haphazard, out of control, and, keeping you down or making you anxious. What are you doing in those moments to remember your true self and to create your own flow of quo and create the happiness in your life and the fulfillment? Not everything's going to be happy 24/7. Let's be real, right? We understand that. But, the fulfillment, the level of, stability and security within yourself. What are you doing each day to maintain that? Because that's what it's all about. If we don't do it for ourselves, we know we can't count on the powers that be and the structures that are in place to do it for us, right? Because they're all designed to do just the opposite. So we have to unlearn what we have learned and relearn something new so we can prosper, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So today is the 9th of January in the good year 2024, and today's program is entitled The True You. And that's exactly what we're talking about here today, because I was out this morning, as I normally do, for my lovely walk through the neighborhood. I ran into one of my neighbors and started chit-chatting a little bit, and the conversation, I forgot how it got there, but we were just talking for a few minutes and kind of got into this perspective of the same thing that I'm talking about, that I talk about all the time. The same stuff I say here, I talk to people out in the world about, right? But just started talking about how important it is to, what started it was, he said, how's your 2024 going so far? And I said, oh, it's good. I have no complaints. And I was saying about some ideas I have to some projects I am thinking about working on this year and different things. And the conversation kind of got into, just basically what I always talk about, how important it is for us not to feel scared to do anything that we want to do, because we're so programmed by what our society has taught us that we think we should do, that we never think about what we want to do. And that's kind of what I said to him. I said to him, what really is the crux of the conversation was, I said, you ever just think about, if you weren't worried about money, you're okay, right? right? So like, what would your day be? What would you do every single day? How would you structure your life? What activities would you take part in? What would be your day if it wasn't that you were worried about money? And he kind of really appreciated that thought, and started saying it's really something interesting to think about, because he said, I've spoken about this too, my day job, obviously, and it's how, that's not really my thing, and I don't really care for it. But we have to make a living. So, it's an interesting thing. You're always kind of, stuck in the confines of a certain way, but there's always, you can always do whatever you want to do. But I was speaking on that I've been working this job for years, and same with him. He has his job. He's been working for multiple years, and I said, sometimes I think, when you have these jobs that are, not say easy. Well, they are easy in a way, because there's these between, whether it's a corporate job. I mean, a corporate job, you might actually have a little more, I've spoken that I work for the government, and the government is just a total sham, and the way it operates, and there's no accountability. There's no actually process of trying to get things done efficiently. But if you work for a private industry, that you may have a little more of that, because of actually trying to get things done, because a company actually has to make money to thrive, as opposed to the government, who just takes it from everybody and then just wastes it haphazardly without any care for what it took for the citizens to earn it. But so I was just talking in general about sometimes, when you have these jobs for a long period of time, it kind of makes you complacent and lazy, right? It's almost like it's almost like a social program, like welfare or something, and it's not to chastise completely. Like, listen, I'm all about, I love people, we all can help each other out. Sometimes somebody goes through a difficult situation, maybe they need to be on welfare, or wants some sort of social program to help them get back on their feet. A situation occurs. But in general, our society's not built that way, right? I mean, the system is the system. So people who get on the welfare or something like that, it turns into like some sort of entitlement program, where basically, you don't have to do anything and you just keep collecting welfare, right? So it shouldn't be that way. We should be encouraged to, whatever our circumstances are, or even if we falter at times, we should, encouraging not just ourselves realistically, but I mean, our society should be done in a way where we encourage each other to try to grow and and be better than where we were before. Even if we have to take a step back to get started again, that's fine. But it doesn't mean you want to live off the teat, I like to say, off the teat of the system, for the rest of your life, like a bum, And I feel that way with working for the government in my career. It's basically like, it's basically like, white collar welfare. It's like, I don't actually just collect a check, for sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, but I kind of pretend to do things, and they just send me a check anyway, So it's kind of a goofy situation, but I do notice over the years that it's made me kind of, complacent and lazy in certain regard. Like, even my love for doing this type of thing, and my years working in radio and such, got that job, and that's it. I never really even delved into it as a hobby, right? I just was working and just living the life and blah, blah, blah. And, it wasn't until obviously the fake pandemic, which encouraged me to, really what the fake pandemic did for me was it really just solidified everything I had believed my whole life, but kind of for whatever reason, well, I'll say it this way, I always believed it, and I always kind of fought against the system, right? And then as years went on, I wanted to be a kinder, gentler Pete, right? Like when I got into my yoga and teaching yoga and such. So, and through that time, I said, I'm not going to, fight anymore. I'm just going to go with the flow and just, be kind and blah, 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 which is fine. Like and I talk all the time. There's nothing worth fighting. There's nothing you have to prove, right? I was just saying all that yesterday, and I agree with that. But I also think it's important, within that realm to, live true to your beliefs and live, to who you are and stand up for your beliefs. I mean, not in the effect of that you have to argue with someone or cause some sort of, angry, confrontation or something. But, you know who you really are and what you really want, if you do. If you don't, you should look into it. But, if you do, then, you should live, true by that. And, when everything happened with COVID, it just like really clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? Enough's enough with this bleeping system. I'm tired of giving, trying to, fit in and just be nice. And this is the way it is and just go with the flow. Now, I don't want to, cause an uproar or anything, but I just decided that I'm taking myself out of that way of being. Like, yeah, do I still have my current job? I do. But I'm working on that too, and I don't put a lot of time into it. I don't put a lot of care into it. I don't put a lot of effort into it. If I got fired tomorrow or quit tomorrow, I really don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? For now, it is what it is. And I don't put the pressure on myself like I used to because, I'd always be, I wouldn't say in trouble, but, because I'm a real person and have a real personality and I'm honestly myself and I'm not putting on a facade for others, because I do that, it always kind of led me into situations at work that weren't as favorable. It's like I wind up, some sort of contentious something because you're dealing with all these ego people that are trying to prove themselves. I don't have anything to prove. I have nothing to prove. I don't want to prove anything. I really do. I just want to live from my heart and be, my best self. So, when, like I say, when COVID happened, I was like, enough's enough. And that's, what led me to moving down here to Florida and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But when speaking with my neighbor today, and he was, kind of really interested in that question that I posed to him, like, what would you do if you weren't worried about money? And because he said, I think the same thing. Like, I have been having this job for a long time and it does sometimes make, it's okay. But, I do think about what else would I like to do or, and it's just, so it's interesting. So, the thumbnail today, on this episode says, would you rather, with question marks, and in conjunction with that and the title of the program, The True You, I would really just suggest today, as I've been kind of doing over the past week, to be honest with yourself, the true you. What is the true you? Have you ever taken the time to stop and reflect of, what does it even mean to be, existing in this world, as opposed to, we're just like, we're just born, we're just programmed for those young years before we even remember anything, and by the time we get to like, 7, 8 years old, whatever, we're in the, we're trying to please our parents, we're trying to please our teachers, we're trying to please, and if things don't, resonate with you, right? Even like your intuitive knowing that things aren't right in the world and something's off, right? Even with that intuitive knowing, we still try so hard to, fit in. Why? Because, we're human, we're social creatures, we don't want to be, ostracized from, our society, our groups, our friends, our families, we don't want to be looked at as, I don't know, less than, all these judgments that we place on ourselves. And unfortunately, again, like, the powers that be, of course, understand the psychology and everything else of the, of the nature of human behavior. So they purposely put the world together in the way that they do to keep us, just in that space. And then, because of what we're shown through mainstream agenda, we build our whole life on our whole life is predicated on, accomplishments that they say are the accomplishments that are going to, reward you or make you feel satisfied or successful or happy, even more so happy, right? So what do people do? They start young, you got to get to college, even go back, it starts with the parents. Like the parents are, how much money are they putting away to try to, send their kid to college? The kid goes, to college, and goes through all that and then comes out probably with debt anyway, unless the parents, are rich and pay everything off. But generally, right, you wind up coming out of college with some sort of, couple $100,000 in debt, then you have to go get a job. And, before then of course, you're young and you got to have a husband or a wife, right? So you jump into that. And before you know it, you're like, 30, maybe your early 30s. And, you're just kind of like, all of a sudden, like you're totally overwhelmed with, this job. How did I end up here? This, I got a house with a mortgage that'll never pay off. And now I have kids and I got to start putting money away for their college while I'm still trying to pay off my college. You have a spouse. It doesn't mean you don't like them or they're not a good person. But, I think a lot of times people get involved with relationships, especially at younger ages, just with the more so idea of what the relationship should be and what that means it's going to be for your life, as opposed to getting to know yourself first and letting relationships develop organically based on you emanating your true essence. I think that's like really the main point of all this, right? because our world is the way it is today, and and I talk about it all the time that we're in a space where humanity's growing, consciousness is growing. We're seeing things in a different way. The chaos that we see in the outside world, is merely a reflection, like I said yesterday, of our own suppressed desires and traumas and such that we don't acknowledge, that we don't face, right? So and think about it, like I'm somebody that does, and there's a lot of people out there who aren't even thinking in the realm of this type of, they're just going through the motions and living their life. So I don't know. I look at it from the perspective of the most important thing to do is to really even just, you gotta have that space of separation where you can look at yourself as yourself from a different point of view. You can observe, your embodiment in this life, your personality, and understand that, nothing is locked in stone. I'm saying? The only reason that each of us functions the way that we do is because of our, multiple reasons, because of our, our DNA, our lineage, of our family history, the nuances within that of social programming and such, based on our upbringing, our environment as we're growing up, the nature versus nurture thing, they both play a part, nature and nurture, right? So all these little perspectives, like your geography, wherever you live, wherever you were born, the years that you were born, the time frame, what's going on in the world, all these things are parameters with which kind of structure each individual's perspective. So there is nothing that is ultimate, like this is the way it should be or has to be. There is no ultimate, this is right, this is wrong. We have to always take it back to the space of, that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And be able to acknowledge that, what we're going through in our day-to-day life and how we're living is basically, just a culmination of all the parameters that, encapsulated our nourishment or upbringing, whatever, words you want to use to put it in that place. So what I'm trying to say is that like anything can be done. You can change the programming, right? So that's why I'm calling this today, Be True You. That's why I say, the thumbnail says, would you rather? Would you rather be a question I would ask? Would you rather give yourself up to live within the quote unquote comfort, which really isn't comfort. It's really, disease, our mainstream world. But you feel it's comfort because you feel like you're secure and safe within the confines of what's established as norm. So, would you rather, forego your base, would you rather forego the voice inside you, the intuitive knowing in your heart? Would you rather forego that for the security of the brief moment of, this physical embodiment in this particular set of circumstances, or would you rather, challenge that, not challenge that in an angry way, but challenge your own belief systems, challenge your own programming, and really listen to the voice inside. And if something inside of you is telling you, hey, maybe you work an office job and you want to be a construction person. I'm just making a simple example. Are you going to just keep doing the office job because, your family thinks that you should be an executive or, wear a shirt and tie, but maybe you're really good with your hands and you're good at building things. You want to, be a carpenter or, a plumber, I don't know, whatever, right? And you're feeling that kind of calls you more. So what I'm saying is like, why do we deny ourselves who we truly are? Because we are afraid of what we might, lose in the process of that transition. So, and I'm just speaking for myself again, as I always do, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, I've someone, people come to me sometimes and say like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you picked up your whole life and moved to Florida, or, different things that I do. And I've kind of always been that way. I'm not, I don't worry about the confines as much, and like, if COVID didn't happen, I probably wouldn't have moved at this time in my life, and changed as radically as I did. But either way, I had felt a calling about moving down to Florida. I felt it for years, but and I tell this story multiple times, it wasn't like I just said, F you people, I'm going to, Florida. As I woke up and I felt it intuitively, like in my heart center. And I woke up that morning and I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So I started making preparations, and, over 2 years later, here I am. And like, I'll throw throw caution to the wind. Like, has it been, would it have been easier for me to stay where I was and keep the same job that I had, pay less? My mortgage up there was less than my rent down here. I'm just trying to say, like, I would have saved more money. I would have, I would have been more years in the job, and I would have been further along, and blah, blah, blah. But, the truth is, like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I really don't care about it, because life is a beautiful adventure, and we have so much to offer, and there's, we're all trying to find ourselves and be the best selves that we can be. And this is the thing I think is the amazing about how, consciousness is rising and humanity is changing. Like we're moving into that direction where people are like, gee, I don't want to sit in a cubicle all day anymore and, just, pick my nose and Google shit, and try to pass the day away. And, so I remember sitting in that office sometimes. I look out the window. It's a beautiful day. The sun's out and you're just stuck in that cubicle like all day long, and it's just like, it's just insanity of how our society is set up. And I don't think, maybe I'll kind of wrap it up with this, like, to put it out to people in a way, like, I understand this is the way our world is, and we all have responsibilities that we have to take care of and everything else, and I don't dismiss that in any regard whatsoever. But I will say this, why are we so willing to, even though we know we don't believe in it, and even though we know it's not fair in the way the system is, we know about corruption, we know how we're robbed every which way till Sunday, monetarily and such, and we know that our education really isn't a system that is helping people do better, right? It's just more indoctrination and putting information, just bludgeoning people with dates and bullshit, instead of actual practical knowledge, So, why do we want to give ourselves away to that? Why are we willing to give ourselves away to that? Why are we so afraid to challenge that and say, yeah, maybe it will be uncomfortable a little bit, but like, if we really, to make some sort of transition, maybe it will be difficult financially. Maybe we will lose friends, or maybe you will have to, separate from your spouse. I'm not saying it does or doesn't anything. Every situation is what it is, but all I'm saying is, isn't it better? Wouldn't you feel better to have lived your life knowing that you resonated with your heart and that you were intuitively being guided and following what's right for you, as opposed to just trying to, keep up with everything that society says that you should do, right? Because ultimately you're just like you're not really ever living that way. You're living I don't want to say miserable. Maybe you're not miserable, but I'm just saying, like, are you really ever living? Are you ever really expanding and growing when you, keep yourself, within the parameters that they set forth, and you just stay in that little box, that little bubble? Or as I haven't done this in a long time, but as I always like to say, the petri dish of shit. This isn't a petri dish. This is my bell. This is my bell, but we turn it over and it becomes the petri dish of shit. Do you want to stay within the confines of, what they create and tell us is a good life? So you be a good little boy or a good little girl or a good little trans, whatever you're doing out there nowadays. You want to be a good little whatever and just, do what they say and be stuck in that kind of rut, and knowing that inside of you there's other things that you want to do, and I would have loved to have been a dancer, I would have loved to have been a singer, I would have loved to have been a painter. I know it's a lot of times it is artistic stuff, because the arts are so suppressed. You can't make a living out of being kind to people. You can't make a living out of, I guess, some people do, obviously, writing books and different things, but in general, it's a tough road. Like, even when I worked in radio and stuff and entertainment, when I was doing stand-up back in the day and all these things, like, it's all like just so cutthroat and just like everything else. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent there. Let me just wrap it up and reel it in and wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. So I just encourage everybody out there to, take the time to think of, if you could take money out of the equation, just say you're set. You don't have to think about money. Not like that you're so rich that you're, flying off to Paris every other day, but you're not worrying about money. What would your day be? Like, what would you really do without worrying about what society things you have to do, what papers you have to fill out, what taxes you have to pay, and all that crap that we do. What insurance is my insurance policy going to run out, or whatever nonsense that they keep us trapped in all the time. What would you do with your day? When you got up, what would your day be? What is in your heart that sings to you that you would love to go out and make happen every day? So I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of like the thought process I have here today, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to continue here in 2024 to make Operation Status Quo a place of encouraging people to be their best selves, to really just think outside the box a little bit. Nothing has to be crazy. You don't have to make drastic, dramatic, sweeping changes in your life like I did, like picking up and moving your whole life to another state. You don't have to do that, but you can be honest with yourself of the things that you really like and the things that are important to you, and start incorporating them into your life. Start making little bits of time each day to incorporate the things in your those type of aspects into your life that bring you fulfillment, and let the truth of who you are shine. And whatever has to fall away in that process, so be it, right? I mean, that's how I see it, because there's no good or bad, there's no right or wrong, there's no ultimate, this is the person, like even, relationships, friendships, and intimate relationships, family, whatever. There's no one ultimate person that is the quote unquote love of your life, or, got to be with her every day, or is going to be your best friend forever. People come and go in your life. Everything's a learning lesson. Everybody, when the time is right, people will come into your life. When that time has satisfied what it's meant to be, things will move on in a different way. Some people you'll stay in touch with, some people you won't. But either way, the most important thing is you're with you. You're with you every single day for your entire life. And I think it's important to be honest with yourself and to really embrace yourself and honor yourself, and remember that, you created this life. You are the one that chose your embodiment. You are a soul. So why not listen to the higher voices that are within you, that are guiding you to do the things that you came here to do, instead of keeping yourself under the rule of others who would don't want you to do anything but be suppressed and slaves to the system. So anyway, that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. All right. And the rocket's red glare. I'm sorry. I just got wanted to hit a couple sound effects before I left you here today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I thank you so much for your time to be here on Operation Status Quo. Drop some comments. Let me know what you're thinking, that kind of stuff. And don't forget, you're welcome here. So, please let me know if you have some thoughts you'd like, some topics you'd like me to discuss, or if you'd like to come on and discuss anything on the show. You are most welcome, is what I wanted to say. You're mostly welcome. It really depends. You might be a jerk a little bit. No, but everybody's welcome here on Operation Status Quo. Even the wackadoo liberals out there who cry and complain and act like victims all day long, you're welcome to come here too. Maybe we can work out some of the issues and help you empower yourself to, be your best self instead of crying about what everybody else is doing. So anyway, God bless you out there. As you know, I love you, each and every one of you out there, individually as well as a group. Please like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. You guys have a great day out there, ladies and gentlemen. And until tomorrow, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? You do or don't you? Well, I'm going to say it anyway. Operation Status Quo, disengaged.
Is a boulevard of 10 short blocks.